Humans. They're so weird, aren't they? They're above average strength, their sleek-looking body, their behaviours, and yet when we see them do anything, they seem no different than us. So let's talk about them, and talk about how they almost caused a galactic war with just 2 letters from their lexicon. Let's all go back to roughly 2,000 human years ago, or about 4 cycles for non-human listeners. When humanity was introduced to the Alliance, long time ago, they made quite an impact with their concept of a heavily armoured land vehicle that we all surely know by now. Tanks. We all know that old regulation every newly discovered species must follow if they want to join the Alliance. The regulation that requires them to showcase and reveal their military strength. Humans did these, of course, and this concept of theirs sparked a big debate. After the human military showcase, the Alliance was busy to decide whether or not humans are a big threat, or should the Alliance try and adapt this heavy armour vehicle concept to their military. There is a couple of reasons for this. For one, it is discovered that human tanks are essentially immune to every land-based weapon the Alliance had, except for the anti-orbital cannons, and those can't even be depressed enough to point at a human tank. This is mostly because the Alliance had mostly energy-based weapons at the time, with the kinetic weapons available being little to no problem to these beasts. It was discovered that the energy heats up parts of the tank, but the humans invented heat-resistant lining and cryo-pipelined armour for their tanks that negated the effect soon after. Now you might think, so human tanks are invincible and can destroy anything the Alliance had 4 cycles ago? Well, not exactly. Although human tanks are immune to anything land-based Alliance forces can throw at them, it also applies to the Alliance's fabled mobile shield fortress, which are basically our equivalent to a human tank. And with high-grade energy shields, they are also immune to anything human forces can throw at them, as they are mainly kinetic-based at the time. This caused an interesting theoretical scenario of the 2 moving bunker meeting each other and not being able to do anything about each other's existence. A particular stalemate, you can say. Human armour was too thick to be scratched by our weapons, and our shields are too good to be faced by their weapons. And here comes the interesting part. For several human years after the first contact, the Alliance is still debating whether or not to adapt the tank to the military. Some argue that we should, that having both thick energy-resistant armour and kinetic-resistant shield on an arguably still theoretical vehicle at the time is ideal. Some argue don't, though those that disagree are mainly because of logistic issues, and the fact that they will have to adapt every arms factory to do so. And this is where human invention came, an invention that almost caused a war to fall upon them, the EE line of munitions. EE stands for Energy Envelope, and is first adapted to human tanks. Now what does it do? Simple, really. The humans took their standard tank shell, which is the name of the projectile they fire, and fitted a micro shield generator to it. The shield gen would activate once it leaves the gun barrel, and envelop the bullet in a small bubble of shield. This posed a problem to the galactic community, as they discovered that it is indeed effective, letting the shell go through the shield as if it wasn't there. The first test of these new lines of munition variant is done on another routine testing by a human tank by the name of Mailman, apparently a joke made by the human crew regarding the word envelope in the shell's name, having the same name to small pieces of paper delivered by an old, near-forgotten human profession of the same mailman. They also rather fittingly wrote a lovely letter on the shell. Once it is fired and done its job on the poor MSF, the human crew said one thing that remained popular to this day. Whoops, that's not a letter, that's a threat. And the galactic community takes it as one as it proved to them that the previously evenly matched to the point of stalemate theoretical fight between human and Alliance vehicles has turned completely one-sided. The fire was fueled even more by the fact that humans' arms factories are putting EE on every type of ammo they can produce. This caused widespread panic, as humans are thought to be taking advantage of this stalemate breaker and planning an attack. The situation had developed to the point some species are willing to use superweapons on them. What's worse is that there is technically no counter to this, as up-armoring our available vehicles would be in vain, as human kinetic penetrators were simply too efficient. And we can't do anything about our shield, as shields interact with each other differently than it would with basic energy and kinetic. Energy shields merge with each other when they come into contact instead of blocking it like it would with any other thing. This is exactly what caused the EE variant of human munitions to be so feared. It was only after they noticed our fear did they clarify what they wanted to do. This was also the point where we learned that humans strive for peace as much as possible. After learning that we are afraid of their invention, they promptly stopped producing them, then proceeded to destroy 90% of existing EE ammunition in an effort to show peaceful intentions. This was enough, as everyone calmed down and half-heartedly congratulated humanity on their effort. I say half-heartedly, because deep down everyone knows humans can simply mass-produce it again, as it is quite a simple design. It just proved to people that humans are willing to cut off their own military capability to preserve peace and stable connection, which gave them some well-earned reputation. Nowadays, 4 cycles later, EE ammunition has been adapted by every species, making humans the biggest military contributor in the Alliance's history. Tank and MSF crews also thank them profusely for making the vehicles a lot more comfortable to stay in, thanks to the cryo-lined armor system and soft heat-resistant internal padding they made. And that, gentle listeners, is how humans almost caused a war and terrified multiple species more advanced than them with just 2 letters from their lexicon. Thank you for listening to this podcast, and I, your host, the Gallonella, will say one thing. Goodbye, and see you tomorrow.